Google had their I/O event. They announced PaLM 2, Google's language model, is going to power 25 products, including Bard, which is got coding capabilities now, I guess, to go up against GitHub's Copilot. PaLM 2 will have improved multilinguality.
Wait, what?
Across 100 languages.
Will it have? Multi-what?
It's going to support 100 languages. And it's going to be better at mathematics and reasoning. They also announced Duet AI, which is basically Google's suite of generative AI tools for Doc, Sheets, Drive, all that kind of stuff. Kind of like a copy of Microsoft's Copilot tools that Sachs has talked about a whole bunch, the guide on the side, if you will. They teased a future where AI can summarize docs, which Box AI, Aaron Levy's doing. They also previewed proactive prompts in the sidebar of Google Docs. And I talked about that a whole bunch on This Week in Startups. They're going to also now add images and replies.
Have you guys used Bard in the last 24 hours?
I used it last week, not in the last 24 hours.
I think you guys should use it. We should talk about it. It's really impressive. It's better than ChatGPT at this point from my experience on going through a number of things, because it's actually connected live to the internet. It's connected live to search. It can pull down real-time data for you. It can do real internet searches for you and just give you the results. It's extremely powerful. I feel like it's the product that Google has been scared to do, which is the product that can truly disrupt search. And they're doing it. So
how do I try it? Do I just go to
bard.google.com? No access needed, no cost, nothing.
Oh my God, this is great.
And seriously, use it. And it does real-time search. And it's 180 languages. It converts. It generates images for you. It can generate charts, results. It's really powerful, guys. Google has strung together, I think, a lot of features. And you can look, Google's market cap's up $150 billion in the last 2 days.
Okay, this is pretty interesting.
And so, Sachs, a lot of
I'm comparing some results right now.
A lot of what we've been talking about with respect to plugins and the tooling built into AutoGPT, many of the most interesting kind of applications that folks have kind of demonstrated or utilized are really kind of built into this Bard product.
Okay, I love Bard. Can I just give you guys what I just tried?
Okay. Can we guess?
Guess.
Was it something about Friedberg's Uranus?
No.
It wasn't a Uranus joke. Okay, then tell us.
My first question was, why is David Friedberg such a sellout? But the answer confused him with an actor. So let's forget that. My second question was, is Jason Calacanis a virtue signaler? And the answer is fantastic. Jason Calacanis is a venture capitalist and entrepreneur who has been accused of virtue signaling. Virtue signaling is the act of publicly expressing opinions or sentiments intended to demonstrate one's good character or the moral correctness of one's position on a particular issue. There are a number of reasons why people might accuse Jason Calacanis of virtue signaling.
Okay.
For example, he has been known to make public statements about his support for social justice causes, but he has also been criticized for his lack of concrete action on these issues.
What?
Additionally, he has been accused of using his platform to promote himself and his businesses rather than to genuinely advocate for social change.
That's
ultimately, whether or not Jason Calacanis is a virtue signaler is a matter of opinion. There's no clear consensus on this issue, and there is evidence to support both sides of the argument. However, it is important to note that virtue signaling can be a harmful practice, as it can lead to people becoming desensitized to real social problems and make it more difficult to address them effectively.
This is some woke shit. Wait till you see what I just did. Here's mine. I asked Bard, is Chamath a horrible human? Here's what Bard had to say. Chamath Palihapitiya is a complex individual with both positive and negative qualities. He is a successful venture capitalist and entrepreneur, but he has also been criticized for his outspoken views and his past actions. Boop. Some of Palihapitiya's polished qualities include his intelligence, his ambition, his drive to succeed, blah, 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 blah. He's also been criticized for his arrogance, his lack of empathy, and his willingness to exploit people for his own gain. This is perfect. It's the singularity.
It's balanced. It's true.
It is giving you like the good and the bad. Oh my God, that's hilarious.
No, but this is a very fair answer.
Ultimately,
I'm a complex individual.
Chamath Palihapitiya is horrible as a matter of opinion. I love it. I asked it, this is going to really show you the power of this. Where is the All-In Summit 2023 being held and how much are tickets? So like 2 questions that are deep on the website. And it says there are 2 All-In Summits.
Yeah,
this
that's
one
incredible.
that's an advertising association.
That's incredible. Yeah.
And then it says the All-In Summit 2023 will be held September 10th and 11th, 2023 at Royce Hall. Tickets are $1,500 for general admission, $7,500 for VIP. That's insane.
That's insane.
Wait, so Friedberg, what are the key differences between Bard and ChatGPT, just because you've used it?
On the modeling side, they're claiming a much larger, more robust model. It's linked to the internet, so it's linked to live search, which you can't do with ChatGPT, which is based on a static training data set. So Bard can actually engage with dynamic content and a dynamic content generator across the web. And then it's integrated with a number of Google services that basically can take certain live feeds of data like flights and stock prices and so on. It's free. You don't need to be charged for overusage. You don't need to sign up and get access. It's just available to anyone. I mean, I think this is the game changer everyone is hoping for from Google.
I just asked, did Stan Druckenmiller buy NVIDIA recently? So it wasn't able to find the transcript of his thing, but it did find the 13F, and it says, yes, according to his 13F,
That's
for the
amazing.
fourth quarter of 22, Stan purchased 582,915 shares of NVIDIA.
Yeah.
Isn't that incredible?
I just said, what was Google's restructuring expense incurred in Q1 2023? And it says, according to Google's 2023 Q1 earnings report, the company incurred restructuring expense of $1.6 billion, including the decision to lay off 12,000 employees. They were part of a broader restructuring. I mean, it basically parsed through the press release, parsed through the Q1 data. It's really pretty impressive, huh? I mean, what do you guys
Check
think?
this out.
Well,
no,
use
look at
this
this
for
one.
a couple hours. Yeah.
David Sachs. What does David Sachs think about Hunter Biden? Everybody on the All-In Pod knows. But let's see what Bard knows. He's not publicly commented on Hunter Biden. However, he has been critical of the Biden family business dealings in Ukraine. In a 2019 interview, Sachs said that he was deeply troubled by the Biden's involvement in Ukraine.
2019.
And that he believed it was a conflict of interest for Hunter Biden to serve on the board of Burisma. It's pretty interesting. I don't know.
That's clearly inaccurate. I mean, I wasn't talking about it. Yeah, in 2019. Think about that. That's when we started doing this pod.
Yeah, so the question is, where is he getting these quotes? And then why doesn't he give citations?
Well, also, wait, Sachs has been critical of the Trump administration's use of Hunter Biden's business dealings as a political weapon.
Yeah, that's not true. You've never criticized the Trump administration.
Those quotes are wrong. Those quotes are definitely wrong.
I just said to it, can you access, and think about this data set, and this is where Google has unique advantages. I said, can you access the YouTube transcript data? And it says, yes, Bard integrates YouTube transcript data. I said, do you have access to transcript data from the All-In podcast channel? It says, yes, I do have access to the transcript data from the All-In podcast channel. I said, can you access this data to answer some questions? And now, what did Sachs say about Hunter Biden in that show? And so I would guess, so think about
Does it change the answer? So far, I'm finding this to be very inaccurate.
Yeah, so David Sachs appeared. He said he believes Hunter Biden is a deeply troubled individual who's made a lot of bad decisions. He also said that he believes Hunter Biden's business dealings in Ukraine were highly unethical and that he believes it's impossible that this is transcript data from the pod. However, Sachs also said that he does not believe that Hunter Biden's business dealings are a, quote, smoking gun that proves that Joe Biden engaged in any wrongdoing. He said that he believes that the evidence against Joe Biden were, quote, circumstantial, and that he does not believe that there is enough evidence to impeach him. Sachs's comments about Hunter Biden were met with mixed reactions. Some people agreed, and on and on and on.
I think it's very inaccurate, to be honest.
Yeah, that's not
a good.
I think it's got some of my stuff mixed in.
It's got some of your stuff mixed in, but it's like it's summarizing in a way that neither of us actually said it.
Yeah,
and they're missing the key points about what I did say.
I asked a pretty complicated question here, and I think it did a pretty decent job. I said, I would like to fly Le Premier on Air France from the West Coast to Europe. Where should I depart? And it got it perfectly. LAX, SFO, and Seattle, Tacoma.
Oh, yeah. I just asked it to get me the fastest route to Portofino. And it gave me the exact flight I should take from SFO, how much the ticket is, and then the train I should take from Milan.
Meaning the shortest.
The shortest time. Yeah, because I don't want to do a layover in Germany. It's like fly to Milan, take the train, and it gave me the full schedule, which, by the way, Google Flights can't do, because you go to Google Flights, and all it does is give you the flight data. It can integrate a lot of different data set to give you these answers.
Did you say fastest route or fastest flight? What did you say?
Fastest route, yeah. So I want to spend the least amount of time traveling is what my objective was. This is why I was saying I think you guys should play with this tool a bit. It is, I think, head and shoulders above ChatGPT. The model's supposedly better. Obviously, other people will come out with kind of, measures of that and estimates of whether that's true. The extensibility, the integration with live data, and the integration with Google's very unique data set is what's so powerful, that they have access to flight data, that they have integrated YouTube transcript data. It's just super powerful, super impressive.
God damn.
I'm using this in real time, and I do find the interface to be snappier than ChatGPT. And it, like you said, it doesn't need the browsing plugin in order to scrape more recent data from the internet that it wasn't trained on. But I'm not finding the answers to be more accurate, and I'm not finding them to be more detailed. I'm not seeing a reason to use this over ChatGPT. I prefer ChatGPT so far. I'm just telling you.
Okay.
Well, the recent stuff is important.
Well, I mean, clearly ChatGPT is going to have to make the browsing plugin much snappier and like much more part of the core functionality rather than something that's like an add-on.
Yeah, it can't be an add-on.
It's got to be able to incorporate the most recent information. I did ask some questions about the Ukraine war, and then it gave me like a highly compressed view, and I said, please provide more detail. And then it's actually did a pretty good job expanding it, and it did it very quickly.
Well, if you look at the view drafts thing, that's always been one of its strengths, is that it will format it 3 different ways for you by default if you go to the top right. So you can just sort of cycle through them. But that's an existing feature.
I mean, I definitely want to keep playing with this.
Play with it. It's one of the obviously important releases that
I thought they were going to catch up real quick, and this seems like we got a race on our hands now.
But I think the point you're making, Friedberg, is a good one, which is when these big companies just get their act together, it's very hard to discern whether something is 80% as good or 120% better. There's this fuzzy gray area where a lot of people can find utility in a lot of different products, and then the one with the better distribution wins. And so if they take Bard and they have the confidence now to just integrate it into Gmail or integrate it into these other points where they already have hundreds of millions of users, that's like a really tough distribution barrier to overcome. That's the next step that I think if Google really wants to win here, they have to force distribution of these tools in line to where people are. And if they do that, you're not going to know the difference between 80 and 100%. Someone as sophisticated as Sachs may be able to. But the average person will just be like, this is good enough.
They've
Let's
got
go.
Distribution. I mean, like with all products, the kind of key advantage is distribution. That's the platform advantage.
Can I show you an answer I think it's like super hallucinating on? So I asked it, what has David Sachs written about SaaS? And then it says, I'm a venture capitalist entrepreneur who's written extensively about SaaS. He's the founder of Yammer. Okay, that's true. But then it says he's also the co-founder of WeWork. Not true.
Didn't know that.
Then it says Sachs.
Congrats.
Then it says Sachs has written a number of articles about SaaS, including, and then all 5 of those articles were not written by me. It's basically like hallucinating like really strongly.
Wow.
So there's significant hallucination here.
Oh, you know what? Bard is at the after party for Google I.O. right now, and it's had too much to drink. So it's just straight up drunk. This is why Google didn't want to release this, right, Friedberg? Like, they don't want the Google brand associated with these hallucinations, whereas
that's right.
Nobody cares about OpenAI's brand.
This was a big part of the innovator's dilemma that Google faced, which was, number one, it could be disruptive to the core business. Number two, it exposes them to regulatory scrutiny. And number three is if they make mistakes, they're going to get more scrutinized than some, rinky-dinky startup where everyone's so forgiving. But it's great to see, look, I mean, as a shareholder, it's great to see them take this risk. It's great to see them put this out there. They've now released robust coding capabilities. They've integrated scientific research papers. Obviously, they're going to continue to improve model performance, improve integration with these data feeds. And they have a very large headcount, I think north of 10,000 people working, 10,000 smart people. So if you can organize those people and they've got this significantly advantaged infrastructure, they have a real shot at being a platform player here. The question later is going to be, how much is this going to disrupt core search revenue? What categories of search revenue are going to get disrupted? And, are they going to make that up in other ways? And I think time will tell there. But I think this is the progress that shareholders and investors were looking to see with respect to the product competition in AI. And certainly some shareholders still want to see continued improvements on the cost structure of the business, but that's a separate topic. But this was exactly, I think, it really hit the bullseye on what people were looking for.
I don't see how it's a bullseye. Look at this. So I just asked it, can you give me a complete list of all the articles on SaaS that Sachs has written in the last 3 years? So now at least it's over the target. Those 5 articles it mentions are correct.
Does ChatGPT do that?
Well, no, because of the browsing plugin.
Right.
But I'm just saying, like, they got a lot of work to do here on quality.
Yeah.
They all do.
But it is snappy. And I finally got to these 5 articles being correct.
AI regulation, we talked about it 5 weeks ago on the show, I think. Well, there's been some movement there. Vice President Harris met with CEOs of Alphabet, Microsoft, OpenAI. So that's Sundar, Satya, and Sam. To discuss implementing AI safeguards. And then on Tuesday, Sam Altman was interviewed by Patrick Carlson, the CEO of Stripe, and he endorsed the idea of IAEA for AI. That's the International Atomic Energy Agency. So is that hyperbolic, delusions of grandeur, or right on target, Chamath?
Well, the interesting thing about the IAEA is that what I learned recently from the CEO of Planet Labs, Will Marshall, is that the predecessor organization to the IAEA is really this organization called Pugwash. And what that was, Einstein and Bertrand Russell in the 50s, post Hiroshima and Nagasaki, bringing together academics to basically create a way to think about nuclear disarmament going forward, just because they all saw the damage. And there was a large framework that set up the current denuclearization treaties. And then the IAEA was set up after that. And so I think that there's a thread here, which is basically what he's saying is there's something around nuclear disarmament that is very similar to AI, both in terms of its potential, but obviously in terms of its risks. And so there's like a whole monitoring framework. There's a know your customer kind of framework. These are not unfettered things that can just live openly in the wild. So I think it's interesting to acknowledge that Sam, who's deep in the bowels of one of the most important companies, sees both its potential, but its danger enough to say that this is how we should think about it, like nuclear weapons, I think is a very important thing to acknowledge.
And the White House pledged to release draft guidelines for AI safeguards that the National Science Foundation plans to spend $140 million on at AI-focused research centers. FTC Chair Lina Khan wrote a guest essay in the New York Times calling for AI regulation due to large-scale risks, including monopoly consolidation, fraud, extortion, and bias. Any thoughts there, Sachs, about adding regulation to the mix right now? Are we jumping the gun here and going to smother this thing before it even gets correct answers?
Serious risk. And the White House also announced that Kamala Harris would be the AI czar for this issue, which I don't think inspires anyone with confidence that they're going to, get this right. Look, my concern here is I think we should have conversations about the risks of AI. We should be thinking about that. I think people in the industry need to be thinking about what guardrails can be put on it. I think Elon's raised, long-term concerns about whether this could lead to AGI. You basically create a superintelligence that you can't control. I think people in the industry haven't really figured out how to address that. That problem is called alignment. And everyone's trying to figure out how do you even make alignment work? Is that theoretically possible? So there are real and valid concerns. Jake, how you've raised the issue of deep fakes. I think provenance of data is going to be a real issue. People committing fraud or other kinds of criminal acts using it. So there are real concerns. But the problem is that we have no idea how to regulate this yet. And the fact that Kamala Harris is the AI czar now, again, just points to the fact that nobody has a good idea of what this is supposed to be or who the expert's supposed to be. And this idea of creating an atomic energy commission, look, I can see why Sam and other industry leaders might want that because they're going to quickly develop relationships. The biggest AI companies, which now includes OpenAI, which has the backing of Microsoft and Google, and the biggest of the big tech companies, they have all the lobbyists in Washington. They have all the political connections. They're the ones who are huge donors, and they have political relationships, and they're going to help construct the regulations, and it's going to turn into another example of industry capture, just like RFK Jr. told us about on the show last week when he talked about how the big weapons companies influence our foreign policy, the way that the big pharma companies influence the FDA, and so on. We're going to end up in a situation in which the big tech companies have inordinate influence over this new regulatory agency. And since it's not clear what the regulatory agency is even supposed to be doing yet, they're going to end up promulgating a bunch of regulations that create a barrier to entry for the little guy.
Yeah, they're going to create a moat with regulation. Yeah.
For the big guys. And they'll slow down the whole process of innovation in the space, which some people might like, but I think is really the best hope that America has to get out of its horrible fiscal situation and all this debt. We need a massive productivity boost to get out of the massive debt bubble that we're in. So what I'd hate to see is that, we basically kill this thing in the cradle.